connected to iPhone.
Embryogenesis, in other words, how the baby grows, then it becomes pretty clear that babies, or any living creature, they get built. They're built. So long as you know how to put those atoms and molecules together in the right way. So in a sense, in every cell in our body, if you look at the DNA, is the solution to generating an intelligent, conscious creature. So we know, in theory, we know the solution is out there, just waiting for us to discover. How long do I think it'll be before there are conscious machines?
Man has described himself in many ways. But if we concentrate on man in relation to his control over his environment, no description is more apt than the description of man as a tool-making animal. And in the short history of mankind, the majority of the tools which man has made can be thought of as an extension of his muscle power. That is, the ability to perform work faster and in greater quantity. However, in the mid-1940s of the 20th century, a different kind of tool was invented. A tool for extending certain of the powers of man's mind. This tool is the electronic computer.
Well, the word revolution is used very freely these days, and I think there's some meaning to the words the computer revolution. We have got the increase in computers of 1 million fold, decrease in cost by 1,000, as we said before. This is a very real change. But the question still arises, will this revolution continue? It seems to me, in view of the political situation in the whole world, that no responsible group can oppose the coming computer revolution. Therefore, it seems to me we have a real one which will continue.
Yeah, robotic machines haven't really taken off in the way that people in the 50s and 60s thought they would. By now, we were supposed already to have human-level intelligence, not to mention intelligent house cleaning devices and so forth. And it's really taken much longer than people thought. We didn't have even the hardware capacity back then to create that level of intelligence, and of course not the software capability either.
Now, those of you who have PCs and have had PCs for say the last 5 or 10 years, pretty well all of you will be very conscious of the fact that each model that you get, the capacity is increased, like it's faster, there's more memory, and it's more or less the same price. This phenomenon is called Moore's law. Moore is a person, Gordon Moore. He was one of the founders of the microchip company, Intel. He noticed a trend. The number of transistors that were being put on these integrated circuits, these ICs, was roughly doubling every year or so. And so he wrote about this. He wrote about this trend. And this trend has been going on for 40-odd years. And it's thought it will continue for about another 20-odd years or more. And so, I mean, just common sense says if you take any number and you multiply it by 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times, eventually you get a huge number.
Well, Moore's law is just saying that every 18 months so the technological power doubles. And that's been followed for many, many years now. And despite people saying, no, it's not going to be followed next year or the year after, it always happens. I think it's looking in terms of brains. Moore's law is providing us with super intelligent brains. It's saying that in 10 to 15 years' time, we are going to have machine brains with processing capabilities much more powerful than the human brain.
If in the 30s you met somebody, say you get some dolphin, big, if you like, speaking on the radio in the 30s, saying pretty soon, 5, 10 years in the future, it will be possible to build one bomb so powerful that it could wipe out a whole city. Well, most people just laugh at it. I think the guy's a nutcase. But the nuclear physicists of that time were starting to speculate about the possibility of a chain reaction. And the theorists at the time were starting to get very worried. Imagining scenarios of a kind of arms race between various countries. They were armed with these very powerful new weapons that could wipe out whole cities. So they were scared that maybe humanity could be wiped out. They got very scared. But people didn't take them seriously. Certainly the general public did not take them seriously because it just sounded so nutty. I mean, you know, a whole city by one bomb? That's crazy.
The combined forces let loose, swamped the nearby ships, and crushed their thickly armored hulls like cardboard. Awe-inspiring in its significance for man, who learned how to control the atom, but must now learn to control himself.
So it really makes you think hard. Do other people, you know, the brain builders of the future, the equivalent of the nuclear physicists of the 30s and 40s, it makes you think really hard. And do you want to be part of this? Like, shouldn't my conscience be saying, "No, wait a minute, I'm a stepping stone towards all this mass horror. Shouldn't I be stopping now?"
Man had released energy from within the atom with the first atomic blast.
There, miss. You see, the heterodynes are feeding back into the stimulus reaction activators, causing non-snaps of the motor control resistor units.
Oh, that's good.
No, lady, that's bad. But your regenerative circuits are tuned asynchronously, and that causes concatenation in the intermediate amplifiers.
Well, that's bad, isn't it?
No, that's good.
People in the 50s, some of them, predicted we would have human-level artificial intelligence by today, and we haven't. What conclusion can we draw from that mistaken prediction? And clearly one conclusion that we cannot draw from that is that because it hasn't been possible to date, therefore it will never be done.
From now on, I don't think there'll be the slightest trouble with your robot. Your domestic problems are completely solved.
I think rather we are learning more and more about the hardware capability that we will need to have to create human-level intelligence. We have rough estimates of that, and our fastest computers are just beginning to approach that.
Being able to process a large number of bits a second, that doesn't automatically mean that that computer is going to be highly intelligent. Agreed with that. But it's a necessary condition. Right? You have to have that very high bit processing rate to allow an artificial brain to become artificially intelligent. What else do you need to make a machine that can process zillions of bits a second? What else do you have to give it to make that machine intelligent? Well, you've got to have the right circuitry, right? You've got to have the same sort of brain circuits that exist in our brain, but we don't know how to do that yet.
So IBM has just recently launched this Blue Brain project, which is an effort to create a detailed computational model of cortical column. Our neural cortex is divided into
Jimmy Brown
cortical columns. And in the first stage,
Hi, Trap.
with this new
Have a good evening.
supercomputer,
Hi, Trap.
IBM wants to create a realistic
Nice meeting you, by the way.
neural simulation of an entire cortical column. In the longer run, of course, to add more columns and that way gradually to build up.
Yeah, just trying to work on these skin tones a
simulation
little bit.
of larger parts of the human cortex.
If you looked at the best, the most intelligent, the most powerful robot with a computer for a brain, I'd have to say at the moment they're still probably around the bee and the wasp category. So we're talking tens of thousands of brain cells. Perhaps the best, something that Hugo de Garis has been working on, the intelligence of a cat with a complexity and a high connectivity in silicon brains rather than biological brains. There's no reason why a machine cannot have its own form of consciousness. its own form of perception, its own form of actions, as we know machines do. Probably it will be different to me.
Hey, Asimo, what's up? I'm Michael.
Hello. Please stand still for a moment and look at me.
For Asimo to recognize someone, that person must first stand in front of the robot's camera, while Asimo takes digital photos capturing a series of facial images.
I've now memorized your face.
These images are then programmed into Asimo's database and digitally linked to the person's name. So when that person gives Asimo a good look at his or her face, Asimo reads the facial topography and bone structure and matches that image with the stored computer data.
Michael, hello.
Couldn't we just avoid this whole horrible scenario by ensuring, in the way we build our robots, that they remain nice to us? Now, in the short term, maybe. Well, let's say the middle term, when the robots are reaching more or less human intelligence levels. Maybe we can control them to some extent by doing that kind of thing. But think about it, just use a little common sense. Imagine a machine that's hugely smarter than us.
If you were to say, well, we want to put some rules into a robot's brain to stop it doing certain things. Well, even now in the military domain, machines with some intelligence are built and used that don't have any such rules. So the practicalities of it are we don't do those things, and in fact some of the reasons for having the intelligent machinery that we have is to break the rules that you're trying to put in to stop them. So I think also trying to say we should limit the amount of intelligence in a machine so that it doesn't get to that of a human, that is very false and absolutely crazy. We're not really looking at intelligent machines that have an intelligence that is the same as a human. Machines already outperform humans in mathematical abilities, in memory abilities. Machines are networked. These are all big advantages for machine intelligence, which is different to that of human intelligence. So in some ways, machine intelligence already has far surpassed human intelligence. We can't, if we limited it, we'd be going back about 20 years as far as computers are concerned.
When you think about the robot in Metropolis and others, these huge, big figures who are very threatening, I think these robots are metaphors for the field of technology in general, the overwhelming powers of machinery, the stamping, hammering machinery in car factories, for instance. So the robots become a metaphor for the field of technology in general. Because once technology goes, it goes and goes and goes. It's mindless technology. And I think that those robots reflect that fear of technology in general. On the other hand, there is something incredibly intriguing about them, because other than different technologies, they share our space, they interact with us. That's a big attraction that especially attracts children. But again, appalls a lot of grown-ups because they feel that their own sense of specialness is rejected. So the whole idea is, well, if this robot is as good as I am, how am I any better than the robot? And I think that is, again, something to do with our inbuilt sense we want to be special and we want to be superior. Again, the Bible does talk about that humans have been created in the image of God. That actually, interestingly enough, does not, even though you might have heard so, it does not, biblically spoken, give us any sense of superiority.
I think giving machines rights in the human world is dependent on them sort of living partly in the human world. I suppose some machines do that now. They make decisions, but it's still the case that there's a human calling the shots, or we don't, at the moment, legally bring the machine to blame when it does get something wrong. We're getting a few sticky situations even now in the military domain, particularly when a missile maybe ends up exploding in the wrong place. And it's interesting to hear that it's still put down to human error even though that may not be the case, but we sort of seem to want to hear that there's still a human somewhere in there. But some of the financial machines are now affecting people directly, immediately, and I guess it won't be too long before we have to face up to the legal situation of it was the machine that did it.
The problem for me is that whatever argument you make to define an AI's worth will automatically exclude human beings. So when you say, okay, AI is not yet self-aware, therefore it doesn't have a right, you can switch it up. That would exclude all babies under 3 years old. That would exclude Alzheimer's patients, that would exclude patients in a coma, etc., 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 etc. Do we want that criterion? Absolutely not. Right? So if you say, you know, oh, it can't smell, therefore, you know, it doesn't have a sense of smell, therefore we exclude it from the community. Well, there are humans who don't have a sense of smell, right? So it cannot speak, while there are humans who can speak. You know, I mean, whatever criteria you choose, you will always exclude human beings. So I absolutely reject the notion that we can use any empirical criteria to define when an AI is equal to us. I think we have to let society decide.
I think machines, intelligent machines, will have feelings, they will have a consciousness, maybe they already do now, but it's so different from our human consciousness and human feelings that it becomes difficult to understand. It's only when we sort of give machines some sort of emotive sense, we put ourselves or put creatures, other animals, into what the machines are doing and try and say, look, the machine is scared or the machine is friendly, that we try and put some understanding, but then almost surely that's not perhaps what the machine is like.
So AI, on the one hand, wants to figure out the mechanisms of humanity, you know, in order to rebuild a creature that is human-like intelligent. But it also wants to lay down the groundwork for when we build those critters, how do we treat them? The projects at MIT, COG and Kismet, where I have been involved in, what made me so fascinated about them, especially Kismet, was that these critters were totally social. And that's true way to AI, to build machines that are social, that are emotional, and therefore can become part of the fabric of human interaction. And in this case, I don't know to what extent you can still talk about a qualitative difference between them and us. If you try to bring together as seemingly different fields as AI, as a technological field, and theology, I think the only way to do that is by starting with the first question, what does it mean to be human? And what does it mean to be a person? Being a human, the question we can answer with biology, and we can answer with science. Being a person is something entirely different. Being a person means I give that creature an ethical value. I treat you in a way that you are valuable. And I think both of these questions are key to both AI and theology.
So I think their feelings, their comprehension about the world, their consciousness, their understanding is and will be distinctly different from that as humans. And we won't really be able to understand why a super intelligent machine is making the decisions that it is doing. Just a simple fact that humans think about things three-dimensionally. That's fine, that's what we've evolved to do. A super intelligent machine can think in 10 or 20 dimensions. How can you reason? How can you bargain? How can you try and understand how that machine is thinking when it's thinking in dimensions that you can't conceive of?
It seems to me, in view of the political situation in the whole world, that no responsible group can oppose the coming computer revolution. Therefore, it seems to me we have a real one which will continue. Now, I believe the reports we hear of this revolution are very misleading. They often underestimate the speed of what's going on and the importance. But worst of all, they tend to emphasize material aspects, how much we will have of this and that, how much leisure, what wonderful new things we will have. And they fail to discuss the impact it will have on our view of ourselves and our world outlook.
If you ask yourself, what question or what issue dominated 19th and 20th century global politics? Now, you can come up with all kinds of answers, but personally, I think the major question was, who should own capital? Who should own the factories? Because from that you got the classical dichotomy, polarization between capitalists and communists. It should be privately owned, it should be communally owned, right? And for the older viewers, in 1962, the year of the Cuban Missile Crisis, we saw the movie 13 Days, for example. Humanity, we almost destroyed ourselves. We almost had a Third World War, a nuclear holocaust, over the issue of who should own capital. Now, that issue to me is relatively trivial in comparison to this question of who or what should be dominant species. Because this time, in this 21st century, this major question of the 21st century, there's so much more at stake.
Superintelligence can be defined as any kind of intellect that radically outperforms the best human brains in all fields, and practically all fields. So the way to think of a superintelligence is not to think of a computer as it is today, that's just a little bit better, sort of a really skilled chess computer that can do a few other things, but still has this narrow robotic mindset, what we think of as a computer mind, which is very good at calculating, but has poor intuition. Instead, superintelligence we should think of as a kind of all-around human genius, but even more so. A superintelligence would be a very radical thing to create. In a sense, it would be the last invention that humanity will ever need to make, because once you have superintelligence, that will then be better at pursuing scientific and technological research than we humans are. It would be smarter than us, so it would be better at carrying the scientific and technological torch forward.
As I see things developing in the future, there will be at least two major, deeply opposed philosophical groups. One group will say humanity should never build these things. There's too much risk. We would not be able to control them. They would be so superior to us that they may just treat us as pests, wipe us out. So that first group, I give them a label. I call them Terrans, based on the word terra, not as in terrorist, terra, the earth, terra firma, the earth. Now, the other group, who by definition are in favour of building these artefacts, I call them cosmists. It's based on the word cosmos, because that's their perspective. These godlike, massively intelligent machines, I call them Artilect, A-R-T-I-L-E-C-T, Artilect.
Basically, we should assume that the superintelligence will be able to achieve whatever goals it has. And so therefore, it's extremely important that the goals we endow it with and its entire motivation system is human-friendly. And the big risk is that either a superintelligence will be deliberately programmed to not serve the good of humanity, with perhaps just the corporation that builds it or the specific programmer that implements it. Or else that although the intention is to create a benevolent superintelligence, yet it turns out that the goals we give it have implications that we didn't really foresee. And I think both of these risks of the goal system of the superintelligence turning out to be unfriendly to humans is a really severe risk that we will confront whenever it is that we create superintelligence, whether it's in 20 years or 100 years.
So the Terrans will draw a line in the sand at some stage, saying, look, up to this level, okay, and beyond, no. Beyond, it's illegal. You become a criminal if you create these machines smarter than that. But that philosophy will be opposed by the other group, the so-called cosmists, with their ideology of cosmism. And what that means is basically just in favour of building these artifacts. Because to the cosmists, building these things is a kind of religion, if you think about it. I suppose most people have had the experience, you go out on some moonless night, out in the country somewhere where there are no city lights, and just look at a big picture. If there are a trillion stars, say your life's not going too well, in a sense, who cares, right? trillion stars. So for the cosmists, the puny little human life that's snuffed out in the mere 80 years in a universe that's billions of years old is just nothing.
Among the dystopian future scenarios, there are different kinds. So on the one hand, we have cataclysmic scenarios where humankind goes extinct, or there's a big war causing huge destruction, or some other sudden major destructive event. Another type of dystopian scenario would be more subtle, where we might continue to be intelligent and to develop, and at no point is there a really abrupt disaster, but gradually the whole evolutionary process takes our species, or our intelligent descendants, in the direction where we don't really want to go, and we kind of evolve down or evolve into something that we don't place value on. A third kind of dystopian scenario is that the future is great, but only for a very small fraction of all people. So you might imagine that a tiny elite, or just a single nation, or some subset of humanity.
And that's my fear right there, yo, is that all this fucking technology is going to be coalesced in the hands of the few, and we're going to get the fucking Hunger Games. Watch that movie, watch the first Hunger Games. Watch that shit again, yo. And I fear that's a real fucking scenario. You know what I'm saying? Where it wasn't just, black and brown people at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? In the Hunger Games, the main character was a young white girl. And she lives in this fucking oppressed state of being because of the elite. And the elite don't care what fucking color you are. You know what I'm saying? They got power and they got control. And they gonna have their little golden palace, their golden city somewhere where they eat so much food, they'll throw up so they can eat more food. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna fucking harbor all the technology just to make their lives better, separate everybody into little fucking work groups. You guys grow wheat, you guys raise cattle, you guys cut lumber, and I don't know. You can look at the fucking not 1984, but the Brave New World scenario. The Brave New World scenario is really similar to the Hunger Games scenario, but Brave New World tells it from the story of one of the elitists on the inside, and he gets a chance to see. He leaves the golden city and goes to where the others live and see the difference, and it's like, what the fuck? And so we're on a real course for this shit to happen because the elite have maintained control and power for so long, and it looks very dismal as to being able to break down that structure of power and being able to redistribute power equally among all of the human groups.
Get to imagine our children descendants in the direction where we don't really want to go, and we kind of evolve down or evolve into something that we don't place value on. A third kind of dystopian scenario is that the future is great, but only for a very small fraction of all people. So you might imagine that a tiny elite, or just a single nation, or some subset of humanity get to reap the benefits of transhuman technologies, and that the rest are left out. And this is one of the reasons why transhumanist movement is active today, which is to try to work to improve access to these benefits to all people across the globe. It's something that we might very well be able to influence depending on what kind of decisions we make today. And it's a political struggle as well as a technological matter, whether the benefits will be equitably distributed.
They're not just prepared to see like millions of people die, like in a conventional type war. They're prepared to risk the whole species dies out, billions of people. So that the Terrans can easily justify their actions, and when push really comes to shove, as I see it, to just wipe them out.
Yo, what's up?
It doesn't take much to start a war. There's billions of wars, and there's a war going on all the time somewhere around the earth. That's
y'all cool? Yeah. Well, if y'all cool, wouldn't the motherfucking try to separate the germs to start with, man? It wouldn't have been like this. But motherfucker want to separate germs and try to pull the negative aspects out. And 600 years later, The Walking Dead come back on Sundays. We on the... What the fuck? Got some fuzzies. Shit, there's some shit in my hair. Fuck it. This past Sunday was the third episode. That shit is too good. But what's that? Another... Yeah, Sunday, 9 o'clock. What's another good movie? I cannot think of the name of this movie, yo, but I did see that shit. It got Matt Damon in it. It's a futuristic movie. And like the elite, they live in like some motherfucking space station or some shit. And they got all this fucking super crazy ass technology up on the space station. But goddamn, the people on Earth just struggling, living in dilapidation and shit like that. Yo, they just let the Earth go to waste, and all the elite just left the planet. It was like, fuck it, we'll go make our own little shit in space, yo, and chill up here. And you gotta have like some kind of super fucking clearance to even get up to that motherfucker. But hey, what was the name of that movie, yo? Somebody else tried to put me on Stranger Things. It's on Netflix, right? It's a Netflix original. I've seen it up there. Like when it first came out, like last year, I don't know. I was gonna watch it, but now I'm like, nah. No, not The Martian. Elysium. That's it. That was the shit, yo. But you think about all these fucking scenarios and they're kind of like the same thing. Elysium is the Hunger Games, except, instead of having, Europe quarantined off from the rest of the world, they just went in space. And Elon Musk is talking about that shit. He's like, yo, by 2025, man, we need to start putting people on Mars, or we need to have a base on the moon. He already talking about getting people off the fucking planet and moving them somewhere else and letting everybody rot on the fucking Earth, yo. You know what I'm saying? And now they're talking about the super AI. They're talking about genome manipulation, where you can fucking design humans. So let's say they do start colonizing Mars, terraforming Mars, try to produce a new atmosphere for Mars, but it's more nitrogen than oxygen, or it has more helium or some kind of other gas that makes up more of the atmosphere than is suitable for human life. And so, okay, now we're gonna fucking genetically engineer humans who can breathe this type of atmosphere and like create a whole new race of motherfucking people and shit. Yo, they about to be on some crazy shit in like the next 100 years. Like some real shit, yo. It and Stranger Things, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I might watch that shit. I ain't no really big TV guy. A show has to be really, really, really good for me to watch that shit, yeah. Yeah, motherfuckers is ready. Is ready to start colonizing Mars and shit. I don't know, man. That's what a lot of people saying, yo. Like, don't do it. Don't make a machine smarter than a human.
That's the norm. So you put all those ingredients together, and you have a very frightening scenario. In effect, there's a kind of third group, and they argue, now wait a minute, you don't have to think in terms of this polarization between machines versus humanity, the Terminator type scenario, because there's a third option, and this third group, call them the, let's see, what's the word, cyborg, for cybernetic organism. And the argument is, by the cyborgians, if you like, a third human group, they say, well, perhaps we could avoid this issue by having human beings themselves become intellects. In practice, that would mean like adding components to your head, more chips on top of chips, sort of thing.
Many people are attempting to use computers to replace man. I am much more interested myself in using man and machines as a working combination. Thus, the man-machine combination will find a dividing line passing gradually from man over to machine, the machine taking more and more of the burden as we learn how to use the machines, as the machines become more powerful.
I think for me, the exciting cyborgs are the one where there's some form of integral enhancement. So there's technology that's integral with the body, but it actually gives you abilities that you wouldn't have as a human. In 2002, the implant that I had then was positioned in my nervous system here. It was a 2-hour operation, and the surgeons fired 100 electrodes into my nervous system to link my nervous system directly with a computer. I mean, partly we had fun with the experimentation, and partly from a scientific point of view, actually doing something that nobody has done before is so tremendous. It's the pioneer spirit. You know, nobody's been here before. Nobody knows what this feels like till now. That is so exciting.
Take one of our brain cells, a neuron, as they call it. That neuron is made from, I don't know, trillions of atoms, you know, a huge number of atoms. But what's that neuron doing? It's just processing a few bits per second, effectively. That's its job, that's its function. But with future technologies, you could do much the same thing using quantum computing with just a couple of atoms. So the future potential of Moore's law and the future physics of computation is so great, so enormous, that the progress along in those fields will force the issue. So with advanced nanotech computing capacities, you can show there's more computing capacity in a grain of sand that's been nanoteched. Right? There's more computing capacity in that grain of sand than our human being brain's capacity by a factor of, I don't know, billions. Right? So imagine a young woman, she's just given birth, and then she needs to make the decision, is she going to have her baby modified? Is she going to turn that baby into a cyborg, or effectively an artifact? So say she decides to do that. So this, you know, hypothetically, this grain of sand, in a sense, that's been nanoteched, is inserted into the human brain, that baby's brain, and it integrates itself into the brain. So that baby, in effect, is no longer human. Because, I mean, think about it. The capacity of that grain of sand is billions of times what the human brain can do. So for, I don't know, 1/1000th of its capacity, of its time, is it doing human things. The other 99.9999999% of the time, it's doing artilecty type things. So that woman, in a sense, has killed her baby. Killed in the sense the baby is no longer human. It's effectively an artilect. It's an artilect in human disguise.
But when we start modifying our brains with technology, then it does change us from the word go. Even just feeding in one electrode with maybe an extra sense, an ultrasonic sense, which we know is quite possible, then it starts to give you abilities and you believe you can do things outside the normal realms of humanity. So your values, your morals start to change immediately. You become a cyborg. As that amount increases, so it's not just one electrode you have connected into your brain, it's 100 or 1,000. So eventually your brain, you and your brain becomes part human, part machine in a true sense. Then your morals, your ethics, I think, would be completely different.
What I'm really interested in is to try to understand the bigger picture for humanity, our place in the world, and what might lie in store for our species in the future, particularly the way we might use technologies to enhance ourselves or to go beyond what we currently think of as our human nature, whether it might be by radically extending the human lifespan through solving the problem of aging, or increasing our intellectual capacities, improving our memory, or taking control of our own emotional states. I think that
how much
we're
for this
right now in
payment?
a transitional phase where before the end of this
it's not
century,
done yet.
we will
Mike something.
have gone extinct, or we will have most likely taken the step to become what you might call transhumans or posthumans, or just very enhanced humans that have reached their full potential. And I think this transition is the most crucial phase of our species' history. It's really, really important we get it right.
I think that transhumanism is quite a big group. The transhumanists are looking at all different ways of humans evolving, becoming post-human. The cyborg route is one of those. It's a fairly solid area within the transhumanist movement. I tend to be my own research largely and developing new
Gas, you can't afford this, man.
And do get involved with the philosophy.
The machine that won was called AlphaGo. Was the machine that beat that dude in the Go game? AlphaGo. But yeah, so now it's like that shit is crazy. So we had a motherfucker win like a checker game in 92. I remember in 96 with fucking Deep Blue won that fucking chess match, yo. And now you got a motherfucker winning that Go. It's like, yo, this shit is... The AI brain is getting fucking crazy, yo. Gas. Nah, bro. Nah, honestly though, my originals are fairly expensive, dude. They're a couple $1,000s. Looking at this right here, when it's done for 2 people, as much background detail is in there with all the straight lines and shit like that, I'd probably put like, you give me like $3,200 for it, cause it's not a really big canvas, but it's a fucking, the imagery is fucking crazy, yo. Like, just the imagery, what you can pull from this shit. So many people can look at this shit and come up with different emotions for it. You know what I'm saying? And plus, this is gonna be, I'm already like 20 hours into this shit. I probably got like another 10 hours to go. This is gonna be fucking a 30+ hour painting. So yeah, it's probably gonna be about 3,500 if you got that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Mark, I paint that. Yeah, that Deep Blue versus Gary. Yeah, that shit was fucking crazy, yo. And the second time they played, the dude Gary was like, yo, he think the Deep Blue team kind of cheated a little bit, but he couldn't ever really prove that shit. But like, this Go shit is fucking crazy. Yeah, guys, you know what I'm saying? Now, if you want to print, I can make you when it's done, I can get you a print for like a couple $100, like $200 or some shit. But if you want the original, bruh, that's why my studio is full of fucking paintings now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can afford these shit, man. Or nobody don't want to, they can afford it, but they ain't want to pay me what I want for them, so I just keep all my art. Cause my shit, I can do you a commission. I do cheap commissions starting at $400. Or I can do you some prints for a couple $100. But if you want an original, my hand painted original, well, you gotta give me some thousands for this shit. I'm not playing. This ain't no fucking game. I need some thousands, 3,500, and you can have it. It'll be yours. I'll ship it right to your house. Man. No, I sell them in galleries, son. You don't think a black man can be part of art galleries and the art community and shit, man? I got a show coming up next month for December at our local gallery. I'm gonna have some art in there. Matter of fact, the same gallery has been in existence for 27 years. I'm the only black male to ever have his own solo show at the gallery, ever, in the history of the gallery. Craigslist. No. Yeah, that is true too. You gotta fucking, the human brain trying to think through fucking 60, 70 moves, 80 moves, maybe. You got the computer thinking through 300, 400 fucking move possibilities. And like you say, that shit run off electricity, so it don't get fatigue. It don't get tired. It don't get headaches and migraines and get thirsty and get hungry and shit.
Philosophical aspects, which I guess is what more the transhumanists are about. But I think it's a good movement in that it does open up and start.
Gas was like, I want that shit, yo. He gonna say like $300. I'll give him that. I'll give him $300 for that painting. Nah. What gallery? Artists for the Arts. You can look it up. It's afa.com in Scranton. Or if you're, you can. We got our Facebook page and everything too. AFA, Artists for the Arts. Very, very nice gallery, yeah. I would have gave you $500 for it. Not enough, bruh. Not enough. I don't even have any of my own paintings that I even sell for $500. I got one painting right there I'm thinking about selling for $600. You can get that. Yeah, I would have gave you $500, man. $500. You can get this much of the painting from here. Maybe not. Okay, from here to there. I'll cut this piece off right here, and you get the soda bottle. $500. I would have gave you $5 for it. Nah. Yeah, I don't play with my prices, man. But you see, they win prizes, though. Best of show. Alex, what's up? Yeah, I don't play with my prices. But man, Alex got a free drawing from me for being so fucking smart, yeah. Smart ass dude. Yeah, there's probably some of my cheapest shit right here, yeah. You can get that for $1,500 if you want it. No, artists can't price their art at whatever. Artists price their art at what they feel the value is. I ain't gonna say, oh, give me $10 million for this shit. But I do feel like it's worth $1,500. That's a $1,500 painting. That shit dope. Cause it's me for one. And it has a poem on it that I wrote for two. You know what I'm saying? And that shit just look extra fucking good. Yeah, $1,500 painting, and that's cheap. I think that's cheap. You know what I'm saying? I did the whole little series. I did 3 paintings of myself, 3 different poems, like $1,500 a piece. I had one lady say, "Ooh, I was gonna buy one of them, but it's a little bit out of my price range. Oh well, maybe next time. Oh, the $600 painting? I see this for $600. Got that glare. It's a nice painting. $600. What do you think? It's classy. I'm saying 600. Look at the details for $600, man. Come on, look at that, man. This is craftsmanship. John, what up? Mom, MJ. Oh, you don't want no teapots. What, teapots ain't gangster enough for you? Okay. You don't want my little gangster teapots with my little lemon pills and shit. You know what I'm saying? This is gangster, man. This is gangster material right here. It's nice, but that's not the medium I was looking for. Come on, man. You don't know gangster when you see gangster, son. You know what I'm saying? It's gangster teapots. You don't want that. You ain't want them gangster ass teapots. You don't know what you're missing out, son. Some little old white lady? Yo, some little old white lady gonna give me $600 for that paint. Yo. I'm gonna put it in the show for Christmas time. Watch. They gonna get that shit for a Christmas present. I want black love. That's that black love right there. Ooh, that's sexy. That's some sexy black love, ain't it? Man. It's brilliant. This is called spiritual nourishment. Yeah, for them teapots, I know, man, but still life's not really my thing. You know what I'm saying? I like painting still lifes, but I like painting people better. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I do still lifes because honestly, like older ladies, they'll buy that shit right the fuck up. Like, ooh, I want that for my foyer. Go ahead, lady. But this right here is it's actually the same couple. Those two people right there are these two people. Same couple. I'll let this go for the same thing. You know what I'm saying? 35. Give me 35 for it. You can have it. That shit killer. You know, original. That Nubian nectar. I'm telling you, yo, that Nubian nectar, that spiritual nourishment. Ain't nothing like it, yo. $8:38. Gotta get the money, man. Gotta go get that rest. Get that money in the morning. Hey man, I gotta do a little bit of something for everybody, man. But you see my main focus. My main focus is the black experience, yeah. I might have to grab me a snack. What time is it? I need to take my ass to bed. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Damn, I need to be at the gym by 6. I don't know if I'll make it by 6 this morning, yeah. Nonchalant. That's what's up, man. Just hit me up on social media, or if you're, I use the PlayStation to stream right now, so if you're on PlayStation Network, you can send me messages up here. If you're on social media, you can contact me at Paintings by the Prince. My name is actually Prince, and I make paintings, so it's kind of easy to find me. All you gotta do is look up Paintings by the Prince. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, DeviantArt, and send me a message. It's easy to send me. Just text me, or send me a picture of the photo you want me to do, and we can bang out a price. You send me a deposit, I'll get started, and you can watch me paint your art for you. So my starting price for any commissions is $400, and my standard size canvas is an 18 by 24 inch canvas. I have larger canvases if you want to move up in size. Of course, that'll cost more, and depending on the detail level involved in the project will determine how much I'll charge you for the project. I always require a $200 deposit before I even start. Once I get the deposit, I'll start your project. Once the project is completed, I will request the remaining balance plus your shipping fees, because you are responsible for paying for it to get shipped to you. And you send me that, and I'll mail you your painting, and you'll have one of my originals of your own. All pen, not that boil point, that ball point. Yeah, my man MJ is a motherfucking artist too, yo. Holy shit, that ain't no little piece of paper neither, bro. Goddamn. Not listening to that. This nigga think he nice. This nigga think he nice. That shit look dope though. I've been painting for about 8 years, yo. Yo, my man MJ told me to check Instagram real quick, and so there's some other messages up here. I just got a really saddening message just now, and I have to check something out real quick. That's crazy. I shipped a piece of art to Illinois, and I just got a message saying that the customer didn't receive it yet, even though it was supposed to be there. Well, technically yesterday. Now it's supposed to be there on Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. They should have gotten it yesterday. So I just reset the tracking number and everything so that she can track that package, but she resent me her address, and I checked the receipt again, and it's the address. I sent it to the correct address. I don't know why it's not fucking there yet, but oh man. All right, let me wow, I don't like hearing shit like that. It's almost 3 though. All right, I'll probably go for like another 30 minutes, guys. Let me go grab my water pipe and put like another 30 minutes in. Like I said, I gotta get me a couple more hours of sleep so I can get up and take my ass to the gym in a minute.
Start allowing everybody to discuss what the possibilities are with transhumanism, because it's going to happen, and it's better that we discuss them now rather than suddenly be hit with some of the realities in a few years' time.
What we're doing now, we're connected up to the intelligent home, and if I double click like that, we set the alarm off, and if I double click like that, it switches the alarm off. If I single click, then we move down the menu. I'll move down. So now I'm on the lamp, which hopefully you can see in the background. So if I double click on the lamp, then signals from my nervous system should switch the lamp on. Let me try that again for viewers at home. And again, to switch it off.
I think in the short term, we've got possibilities of helping an awful lot of people who have problems. They're paralysed, they have multiple sclerosis, motor neuron disease, maybe they're blind. But technology, by linking their nervous system, their brain, to a computer, can help. In a paralysed person's case, maybe not necessarily to bring back movement, but to allow them to control technology around them. In the long term, well, it's very exciting. Not just helping individuals that have problems, but more enhancing all of us, upgrading humans, giving ourselves mental abilities that we don't have. Extra memory, extra math are just the obvious ones. Better means of communication directly by thinking to other people, and extra sensory input. I would love to be able to sense the world in infrared or ultraviolet. At the moment, as a human, I can't, but as a cyborg, I will be able to.
There will be cyborgs.
What?
I see that as inevitable. But I don't think it's going to solve the problem. In fact, I think it'll just make it worse. Because, imagine you're a Terran and your next door neighbour starts going cyborgy, starts adding components, and then suddenly the person next door is capable of learning a human language in just like, in seconds. So you would then get a real split in human capacities, because these cyborgs are no longer human in effect. So then the level of distrust between the Terrans and the cyborg people, the cyborgians, would be pretty well as bad as there would be between the Terrans and the Artlates. So if the human beings become sufficiently cyborgian,
yeah, definitely might.
There's not much difference from the point of view from the Terrans between
it all depends on
and a cyborg.
I do not have any trouble with putting stuff in the body. However, I have to ask myself, why do people want to get something in their body? So when you, for instance, get a chip in your brain to think faster than your neighbor and therefore be better than your neighbor, then it's something bad. But again, you cannot.
It all depends on what you feel like your art is worth, yo. If I was doing the shit you was doing, I'd be charging a couple $100 for that shit. I swear I would. Of course I watched The Walking Dead. You know I ain't gonna miss that shit.
Again, humans too often abuse things they have available to make themselves better than others, and that's the danger. But I don't blame the technology available for it, but the human psyche.
I think we're certainly...
Yo, them motherfuckers better get their shit together, because they being too nice to fucking Negan's people.
No question about
being too nice to Negan's people, yo.
Interests and political interests supporting those groups. There's a lot of money to be made here. A lot of power, not just in a military sense, but in an everyday sense, in terms of who gets jobs and who doesn't. I think there's naturally going to be something of a backlash, a Luddite type of movement that says, well, why should you have those things when I haven't got those things? Just depends on how much power such people can have and how many people there are with that. But I think when implants become more acceptable, as they are becoming bit by bit, so such people, the humanists that want to stay human, the Terrans maybe, as Hugo would call them, I can't see them ultimately having much power, because at the end of the day, their intellectual capabilities will be so inferior to cyborgs, those that have implants and upgrades, that the cyborgs will be able to outthink the subspecies that still are human. I think now we look at the body in a human sense and a machine sense being integrated, becoming one, so technology does become a necessary part of evolution. In some ways, perhaps it has affected how we've evolved anyway, in a small way over the last 200 or 300 years. Now it will really move things on. So as a technologically oriented person, somebody involved with technology, it does start to make you quite powerful when it comes to the type of circuitry that you can design, the way that you can drive the technology forward, because effectively it's evolving humanity into cyborgs. You are directly affecting evolution.
Well, I think that the important thing is not to ensure that the human species remain homogeneous forever. It could be a utopian future where the human species spreads out, and there are more different types of humans than there are now, ranging from uploaded humans to technologically enhanced humans to humans who just use a few simple technologies like vaccines and maybe memory-enhancing drugs to ones that reject all of this altogether. The important thing is not that we're all the same, but that a future society is such that it embraces all these different kinds of humans. We shouldn't aim for homogeneity, but rather for a society which tolerates, celebrates, and makes possible people to choose what kind of person they want to be, whether that is an biologically natural person or somebody who uses technologies in different ways to transform themselves.
So there we are, signals. We've chosen pin number 47, lucky pin number.
And this is what I say about, once again, yo, if you go and watch the Ghost in the Shell series, yo, Ghost in the Shell been up on this shit since '96. Yo, they already had this whole fucking scenario predicted, the one he just said, whereas, okay, technology has advanced, now there's several different types of ways you can exist. You can exist as a completely natural human being right out the birth canal without changing anything. You can have small augmentations like vaccinations, if they can, you know, create a nanobot vaccination that will allow you to be immune to every kind of disease, every kind of sickness forever. You know, you'll never catch a cold, you'll never catch the flu, you'll never, you know, get fucking hepatitis C or tetanus or whatever. Okay. Or maybe a slight brain augmentation where you have more memory capacity, you know, and or you can have a cybernetic arm for different utility purposes, or a whole fucking cyborg body, or you can upload your consciousness into some type of machine or robot. And every one of those scenarios have been played out throughout the fucking Ghost in the Shell series, in the way that they predict this technology can be positive and negative, yo. And I don't know, like, I've been such a fan of Ghost in the Shell for so long, and it's like, this shit is right around the fucking corner. Yo, that shit is fucking ridiculous. But I mean, I'm the only person who likes Ghost in the Shell. Nobody else ever watches that shit, yo. Nobody ever seen Ghost in the Shell. Not the new movie, like the old original anime, yo. Man, y'all want to get into some real artificial intelligence scenario shit, yo? Do that shit. Watch the original Ghost in the Shell anime. Because I swear that's like the first time I ever really seen any kind of movie depict a future like that in a scenario with a runaway AI that has become sentient and is like, yo, you're not gonna fucking keep me caged in. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do, yo. And that shit was before The Matrix, before iRobot. Yo, the original Ghost in the Shell has had major influences on a lot of fucking movies, yo. And like I said, it's a fucking anime. It's not even a live action movie. Just the concepts they drop in that shit, yo. It's so fucking deep. That shit is crazy. Terence McKenna's Stone Ape Theory? No. Should I look that up right now? The Stone Ape Theory. Yeah, Second Gig is fucking badass. I'm telling you, Ghost in the Shell is the shit, yo. Fucking love this shit, yo. Neo, fuck the pan. Cyber Warriors, fucking Section 9, yo, oh my god. The fucking, okay, so Standalone Complex, this shit right here, their enemy is the Laughing Man. And Second Gig, yo, they're going up against this motherfucking terrorist group called the Individual 11. Yo, this shit is fucking crazy, yo. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, end of introduction. Here's the scenario, and I hope it has special resonance for this community. All animal species tend to evolve into an ecological niche and stabilize themselves there. Ants and termites have been at equilibrium for hundreds of millions of years. Our remote ancestors also were on a direct course toward that kind of dynamic equilibrium. We were evolving toward being fruit-eating, canopy-living, insectivorous primates with an advanced repertoire of pack signals, and this was apparently to be our evolutionary destiny, were it not for the fact that sometime in the last 5 million years or so, the African continent, which was the site of our environmental proto-system, began to dry up. And the forests that had always been our arboreal home began to shrink. And what this spelled for our remote proto-hominid ancestors was nutritional pressure. There wasn't enough food. Our remote ancestors began descending from the canopy and exploring the new environment that the aridity was bringing into existence, a grassland environment, an environment of limited numbers of plant and animal species relative to the climax tropical rainforests that were in retreat. Now, the reason animals specialize their food supply is to avoid
I already know what he's about to say. I've never heard this theory, but just now what he's saying about food and then the name of the theory itself, the Stoned Ape Theory. This is what Graham Hancock has said, that psychedelics actually spark consciousness. Like getting high woke us the fuck up out of our animal instinct, eating the fruit of the tree of life and saying, holy shit, I'm fucking naked. But that's what, Now, once again, I've never heard this theory. Yo, Mike, something just put me on something new. I can't even pronounce this dude's last name. McKenna? Okay, Terrence McKenna. The Stone Ape theory. He's never heard this shit. Never heard of the theory or this dude. But he's talking about, you know, the early proto-humans, diets changing. I'm assuming he's going to say, you know, in the effort to find a new source of nutrition and experimenting with different vegetation, plants, maybe magic mushrooms, consume some type of psychedelic, hallucinogen, or mood-altering substance through their diet, which got them in that zone. It was like, yo, I am thinking right now, and I'm thinking I can feel my fingers. My fingers. Wait a minute. So if I'm thinking, maybe he is thinking too. Or maybe not. And then that shit just went on from there. Once you become self-aware, yo, it's like something sparked our consciousness to let us know that, you know, that made us self-aware. And a lot of people are thinking it's like psychedelics or some shit now. Like maybe that shit, maybe getting high. Now I'm not sure, but I'm to the rest of this. But the stoned ape theory, stoned? Are you talking about stone, like stoning somebody, like physically hitting them with objects, like stoning them, or being stoned, like being high? Because when you first said it, the stone ape theory, I'm like, this is confusing. I don't understand. But now he's talking about food. It might be that understanding. I'm not sure.
Contact with mutagens in the environment. If you begin experimenting with foods and begin eating everything, you will produce more children with mutations. Some of these mutations will be positive, most will be lethal. When our remote ancestors came under nutritional pressure, they began expanding their diet. This was the moment when we became partially carnivorous, when we became omnivores. And had I more time, I would lay out many examples of specific plants, such as plants that contain birth control alkaloids and things like that, specific plants that would have impacted early human emergence. But I want to concentrate here on one plant, and that is the psilocybin-containing mushrooms that grow in the dung of cattle. Because I think that if we're looking for a missing link, it isn't a transitional skeleton, it isn't meddling by extraterrestrials, at least not of the overt 1,000-ton beryllium ship variety. It has to do with the fact that we began to allow into our diet an exotic pseudo-neurotransmitter that was part of the native flora of the grassland. And I believe that, you know, in the next 10 minutes, I can at least make it seem plausible to you that this mushroom was the triggering factor that moved us from being an advanced hominid, an advanced animal, to being, in fact, a conscious, self-reflecting, caring, thinking, dreaming, striving human being. And here is my answer to this riddle: where did human consciousness come from? It begins like this. In that foraging phase where we were testing all kinds of plants on the grassland, small amounts of psilocybin mushrooms would have naturally been eaten in the process of eating corms and things like that. I personally have seen baboons in Kenya investigating cow patties on the savannah because they know that bug pupa will be under the cow patties. So the cow patties are already set up as vectors for possible sources of nutrition. So there is no question that these proto-hominids would have eaten psilocybin in small amounts. And by small amounts, I mean amounts so small that if you were to eat that much, you would feel nothing. But this dose level has been studied, and it causes increased acuity of vision. You can actually give people small amounts of psilocybin and then give them eye tests, and they do better if they're slightly intoxicated than if they are not. The guy who proved this, the Viennese psychologist Roland Fischer, when he described these experiments to me, he said, "And so you see, my young friend, here we have a case where the use of drugs actually introduces us to a more true vision of reality than if we have avoided the drug." Scientific proof that the drug is telling you more about reality than if you had refused it. All right, now, what kind of visual acuity is it that is being improved? Well, it turns out it's what's called edge detection. In the grassland environment, where the movement of small animals means dinner, and the movement of large animals means you become dinner, a plant which confers increased visual acuity is going to immediately confer an adaptive advantage on those members of the group that let it in. Those members of the group that refuse it out of aesthetic or gastronomic reasons will tend to be outbred, because the psilocybin-using members of the species will be more successful at obtaining food and at surviving to raise their own children to reproductive age, which is the name of the game in evolution. So that's step one of a three-step process that leads to the explosion of consciousness in the hominid brain. Step two, which should have special appeal for this crowd, is that when you take slightly larger doses of psilocybin, not religiously profound doses, but doses which you definitely feel, psilocybin is what's called a CNS stimulant, a central nervous system stimulant. What it causes in animals is what neurophysiologists call arousal. And in highly sexed animals like primates, arousal means in the male erection. So an animal then which is allowing what is essentially a sexual stimulant or an aphrodisiac to enter into the diet, there will be more instances of what anthropologists call successful copulations.
Aphrodisiac, as in sexual arousement, as in stemming from the god Aphrodite, the goddess of love. And when black people don't do nothing to their hair and it grows naturally, it's called a what? Aphrodite, aphrodisiac. You get it? Afro.
And God knows we need that. So if you have more successful copulations, you have more pregnancies. You have a second factor, outbreeding the non-psilocybin using member of the population. Now, something really important here that is this whole thing is my theory, but here's the part of it that I like the best.
Yes, sir. I take commissions. If you want to contact me about some work, you can find me on social media at Paintings by the Prince. Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Paintings by the Prince. You can definitely look me up, send me a message, and we can, if you're really interested in getting something, I'll definitely talk to you about a piece. So it's Christmas time. It's right around the corner. And it's weird, like, everybody always hits me like 2 weeks before Christmas. Yo, can you get this painting done by Christmas? And I'm like, no, sorry. I can't. It's not enough time, bro.
Primates, all primates, have what are called dominance hierarchies, or male dominance hierarchies.
Alphas.
This goes right back clear to lemurs and the old world monkeys, which are much more, the new world monkeys, which are more primitive. All primates have this dominance hierarchy, and what it means is the sharp-fanged, hard-bodied young males, they control the women, the children, the elderly, all sexual minorities. Everybody is under the thumb of the alpha males. Mm-hmm. And as we sit here today, though this community may strive to be an exception, as a society, male dominance is an enormous dilemma for us and an enormous distorting factor in our politics and in our lives. So my notion is that psilocybin, by promoting this polymorphic sexual style, actually acted as an inoculation against monogamous sexual styles of bonding, you see. And it isn't that the monogamous style, the dominator style, disappeared. It was simply medicated out of existence for perhaps 100,000 years. It was medicated out of existence. Now, and what it promoted, this arousal, this psilocybin taking around the African campfires by these primitive nomadic pastoralists, what the social change that came with it was an orgiastic sexual style, a style where everybody would get loaded around the campfire and then hump in an enormous writhing heap. Now, yes, now, besides the fact that this is a great deal of fun, it has a very, very profound social effect, which is, in societies which allow orgy, men cannot trace lines of male paternity. Men cannot trace lines of male paternity. What does this mean? It means that men do not identify with children as property. It means that the men of that kind of a social group can only think in terms of our children. We, the group, our children. And it creates an immensely cohesive social glue that I believe held these societies together for millennia. And I believe that during this period of pharmacological suppression of male dominance, we became human beings. Theater, poetry, magic, art, altruism, dance, symbolic and cognitive activity of every sort was born in that window of opportunity when there was simultaneously a chemical suppression of male dominance and consequently an opening to Gaian intentionality, to the intent of the larger biological systems in which the human system was embedded. And a kind of paradise came into existence. There were actually two phases. One from about 40 to 30,000 years ago in the interglacial, and in that early phase, human beings, cattle, and mushrooms were sort of all swirling together there on the African grassland, in contact, but not yet a coherent triad. The second partnership paradise arose at the last glaciation, at the melt, during the last glacial melt, and lasted from about 20,000 years ago to perhaps as much as recently as 10,000 years ago. And it was in that later phase that the Magdalenian explosion occurred and the social forms were put in place that Hellenistic paganism was looking back at with a nostalgic and barely cognizable memory. There was an old memory of a kind of paganism that was old 5,000 years before Eleusis laid its cornerstone. I wrote a book called The Archaic Revival, in which I tried to say that the entire cultural impulse of the 20th century, beginning with Freud and Jung discovering the unconscious, beginning with Picasso dragging back primitive West African masks to Paris and inserting them into his paintings, Dada, pataphysics, jazz, abstract expressionism, even phenomena like National Socialism. All of these various impulses in the 20th century, some positive, some negative, all have a common theme: archaism. Archaism, a nostalgia for a state before history. And as this tendency, this nostalgia, has been sorted out over the last 100 years by generations of scholars, beginning with Freud and Jung and Blavatsky and Crowley, and then coming up through all the folklorists and deconstructionists. As this thing has been teased apart, it has become clearer and clearer that the paradigmatic figure in any archetypal revival is the maker of magic, the shaman, the wizard, the seeress, the person who is in control with invisible forces. And as I have lived my life and explored these things for a long time, I've come to the conclusion that the shaman, without the hallucinogenic plants, is well on the way to becoming priest or priestess, well on the way to being downloaded into a fixed canon, a moral vision, a societal religious structure, which is not what shamanism is about. It's about Discordian ecstasy. It's about the felt presence of immediate experience in the absence of theory. That's what it's about. So and then I want to go back to our little process. We've now covered step one. Better vision through mushroom taking leads to better diets and healthier children. Bigger doses lead to an end to monogamy, a dissolution of pair bonding, and a replacement of monogamous anxiety with polymorphic amorousness, or whatever you want to call it. Then, that's only the second step. The third step is when you double the polyamorous dose. And now, hunting is out of the question, and even fucking is out of the question, because you are nailed to the ground somewhere off at the edge of the firelight, wrestling with a mystery so profound, so bizarre, that even as we sit here with Husserl and Heidegger and Heisenberg and all these clowns under our belts, it is still absolutely mysterious, appalling, challenging, boundary dissolving, and unavoidably ecstatic. It is the living mystery. And I don't know how many of them there are in the world, but for my money, there only has to be one to rescue the entire concept from, the dirty claws of the reductionists, the materialists, the Christers, the nothing butters, the merely this and the simply thaters. Yeah, I know I'm preaching to the converted. If I preached to the unconverted, I'd be hung from the yardarm. you know, I come before you with all of this stuff unfinished. This is not a teaching or a system or an anything. It's an eyewitness account of a hyperdimensional automobile accident or something. We're not...
How much for this size? It all depends on what it is, man. You can have a canvas this size with just one person and a black background, and that should be cheaper than a canvas this size with two people lighting cigars with, you know, a fairly decent amount of lines in the background. I'd say always let me see the picture, yo. My starting price is $400, and my standard size canvas is an 18 by 24 inch canvas. If you show me the photograph you want me to do, just let me look it over and I'll work a price out for you depending on what size canvas you want. No two projects are the same because no two photographs are ever the same. I think I'm gonna close it up right there, guys. Like I said, I need to get me a couple hours of sleep. I already went to bed and I just woke up and I was like, I might as well paint for a little while since I'm up. But I definitely need to hit the gym in a couple hours so I get, you know, go back to sleep for like 3 hours. Then I'll be really rested and get up. But just joking. Yeah, you're not joking now because you're fucking blocked. I'm just joking. No, I'm not. I really did block you. Oh man. Yeah, and if you guys are new viewers and new subscribers to the channel, I surely appreciate it, man. Thanks for the support. And definitely hit the notification button because on my days off, I'm in here all the time. And I'm in here at random hours. I can be in here at 3:30 in the morning, you know what I'm saying? 9 o'clock in the morning, noontime, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm in here like, trust me, on my days off, it's just random times I'll be in and out. So if you want to keep up with the projects, definitely hit that notification button. Shit. But yeah, appreciate all the support, your art and education. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't like that shit. Oh man, most people want sports and entertainment, but we're not here for sports and entertainment rage. We're here for art and education. You know, we got a different agenda on our plate. So yeah, if you guys like the stream, man, definitely come back for some more. I got tons of projects coming up. Oh man, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Damn, I need more room in here. So still working on this painting. This only has one layer of paint, so. Oh yeah, you know how we do it, Mike. So yeah, so stay tuned for this painting, so you guys can watch the completion of this one. have this one to work on some more. This is just one layer of paint, so stay tuned for the completion of this painting, because this is going to be dope. This is going to be badass. And I started this one, so this is gonna be dope. I ain't even got no paint on there yet, so make sure y'all guys stick around for this project. And I'll continue to work on this canvas for the next couple days, and if I'm diligent, I may can get it done. If not, I'll definitely try to get it done within the next week or so. But it's looking really good. I'm still having a lot of fun working on this right here, yo. This is a very, very dope image, and it's coming along nice so far, yo. So oh man, yeah, I need to go to sleep, yo. Damn. So yeah, just like I say, man, just check me out the next time, yo. Once again, I can never say it enough, guys. You're fucking awesome. I really appreciate everybody stopping in, hanging out with me. All the great comments, compliments, questions. Damn, 133 fucking comments. That's crazy, yo. But that's what it is, guys. And I enjoy it every time I turn the camera on, because people actually enjoy watching it, and I find that shit amazing. No lie, yo. Like, I really do find it amazing that as many people can find enjoyment in watching me paint and just kind of chilling with me and listening to different shit and telling me to watch shit like the Stone Ape Theory. But alright. But yeah, I definitely gotta get some sleep, yo. I'm starting to have some brain farts and shit. Yo, peace. Until next time.